Welcome to 14 Days in March podcast. My name is Toby Green. This is being recorded live at the G51 studios in Gresham, Oregon. Stick around. We're going to be talking about why it's so hard to spend $1 trillion. It's Friday night, and I'm tired. I'm tired because I see no way out. I just see more and more doubt. Did you hear today that they closed the playgrounds down? Pretty soon the children won't be able to play outside. And none of us will even go for a walk or even a bike ride. And as more and more people turn to the government's help, will it be there? I have my doubts. But spring is coming. It's coming very soon. There's always hope. There's always hope when I'm with you. So, all right, day 7 of 14. So the 14 Days in March podcast is a very simple project that I'm doing, which is chronicling the 14 days from the time in which it really, I don't want to say it started getting serious. Some people are taking it far more serious than I was at first. But basically, 7 days ago today, I said, this is happening. We're being restricted. The word was coming out, hey, don't go have meetings. Just things kept getting gradually more restricted. We're in a place where California, soon Portland or even Oregon will, where I live, will end up following suit with California. Washington already has, where they're going to do something called shelter in place, which is basically don't go anywhere. Don't go to the beach. Don't go do anything. Stay at home. That's, if you have to go to the store, go to the store. But that's basically going to be the plan to try to stop the coronavirus. At the time of this recording, only 125 out of 1 million people have been tested for the coronavirus. What I mean by that statistic is there's about roughly 350 million people in the United States, give or take. And out of that 350 million, only about 125 folks for every million people have been tested. So it is really, really bad. Of course, the rich and the well-connected and pro athletes are all getting their tests first. But regular working people, unless they're absolutely near death dying, and even then, they won't get tested because the tests aren't available. And there's been lots of shortages on the tests. And this is a major problem because it'd be one thing if we were all able to, put our finger on some sensor and be able to get, or be able to do at-home blood work or whatever it is. It'd be one thing if it was treated in that way. But the fact of the matter is it isn't. And because it isn't being treated that way, we're up against an enemy that has the worst thing for all of us, which is the unknown. Once we know whether we have it or don't have it, then you can do, if you have it, you try to do your best to do all the things that will encourage a recovery. If you don't have it, then you're going to think about taking steps to do it. But right now, no one can tell who has it and who doesn't. You may have symptoms that look like the flu or even look like a common cold, but in reality, you have the virus. So I bring that up just to say that that's a very troubling thing that breeds uncertainty. And it's showing the weakness in our governments and our institutions that it's not prepared to deal with the unknown. In a perfect situation, we would certainly certainly be able to spin on a dime. And the way, in fact, I'll give China credit. I mean, the president of the United States is a xenophobe, nationalist, and he's calling it the Chinese flu. He's trying to call it all these things, trying to popularize it, but it's not happening. People reject it. So we know it's the COVID-19 or coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. Bottom line is this: that's what it's being called. The xenophobia towards China is unhelpful. The racism that's taking place, because if you're going to do that, if you're going to take that piece, you can't discount the fact that today China, or the last 2 days, they had 42 new cases. Who are these new cases? These were from citizens or people traveling abroad. They've had no new homegrown illnesses since this outbreak of the virus took place. So that's basically what happened. And so they've pretty well figured it out. They put the hospitals up, they got the treatment out to people, and they were able to test much quicker, and it's more or less done in China. Doesn't mean it won't whip back around, doesn't mean whatever, but the initial outbreak in pandemic style, it's done. It's now obviously been moved, sadly, to Italy and to Europe, which is terrible. That's the epicenter, but it's quickly going to move west. We all know it's coming to the United States. So it's against this backdrop where we get to talk about the favorite topic of the show right now, which is to talk about stocks and what's going on in the financial markets. Financial markets took another 900-point bloodbath today. That's smaller than the 2,000-point and 3,000-point baths that they were taking last week, but it's still very high. You've only got 20 more of those bloodbaths to go before the market completely hits zero. And we're increasingly going to those levels. It would not surprise me if we hit those levels. So, or at least get down below 5,000 points. I see that as a very realistic possibility. So it's against this backdrop that Democrats and Republicans are coming together, and they've got the majority of stuff figured out. But when it comes to helping out working people, these two jerks, and I call both parties jerks here because it's incredibly frustrating. They're both bad in different ways. First of all, let's start with the Republicans. The Republicans' initial thing was to means test, but they wanted to say, hey, look, if people aren't giving money, if people are not putting money into taxes, then we don't want to cut them a check. And, so the people who are right now are the most on the margins, who are the neediest, who most need the care, these heartless SOBs want to say, well, you don't make enough money in taxes, you don't get a check. It's bad play, and it needs to stop. The Democrats on their side are looking at it from the other way, going, well, we don't want to give a check we don't going to give a check over a certain income amount. So it's all over the joint, and it's really scary that it's all over the joint. So I just bring that up to say, look, at the end of the day, basically what the worst part is, let me say, at the end of the day, right now, I want them to have a race over who's going to help working people the most. And there's only one person that's winning that race right now, and I hate to say it. Donald Trump is winning that race at the moment. He's wanting more money to go to working people. He's standing up. He can literally right now campaign on the fact that he is saying, he's saying a lot of racist stuff, and that's going to really hurt him. But he's also saying at the same time to working people, he's saying, cut them the check, get them the money, and I want even more than $1,000. He's talking about more. I want more money to come. Because he knows, and everyone knows, that at this point, there's no end in sight for this coronavirus. There's no end. We could survive the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but they might try to keep this permanently. This could very well be a permanent way of life if we don't see tests or something like that getting figured out. We have got a major problem in this country right now because we're up against not just a new virus, but we're up against now no tests, no ability to get this tested, to get people on whatever the best treatment plans are so far. We can't do that. So now they're locking people down in their homes essentially and turning us into kind of some sort of weird quasi-virtual prisoners. And that's unsustainable. I'm going to just be upfront with it. You can do it for a couple weeks. You can do it for a week or two, but once this shock over the coronavirus and the drastic impact that's happened to people's lives wear off, eventually people are going to say, screw this, I got to go out, I got to live, I got to do something. And what you're going to have, you know what's worse you're going to have? You're going to have speakeasies open up, you're going to have basically ad hoc dyers, you're going to have different types of things going because people are not going to just roll over and die in the name of trying to protect people. A week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe we could go 6 weeks or 8 weeks, fine. But you go any longer than that and people will come unglued. So I just bring that up to say that, look, I hate the fact that the Democratic Party in particular and different people are getting outflanked to the left by Donald Trump. It burns me to the core that the Democratic Party has fallen so far that basically we have a far-right party, which is known as the Republican Party, and we have a less-right party, and then there's no room for people who actually put working people first. And that this racist, sexist bigot of a president can be up there and actually say to workers, and mean it. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that he means what he says. When he says to you, hey, I want to give people money, that's the sad part. I know he's telling the truth. He's not lying. Because Trump, you got to understand about Trump. Trump comes from a whole other world that's long since passed. He comes from the wealthy real estate world. And in that world, in that art of the deal world that he liked to be in, what was missing was that people had to have money. He knows that. He knows that the economy can't just work for the 1%. But he's not doing it because he's a socialist. He's not doing it because he's a kind person. He's doing it because that if that happens, he knows that the fundamental rule is if the country's built that way, that his empire will fall, that everything will fall. He knows it. It's a basic rule. It's an old rule in business, which is that if working people don't have money to buy stuff, they're going to revolt. They're going to be upset. You can fool them. You can do what they've been doing for years, for so long. You can make them comforted with bread and circus, but eventually they're going to revolt. And we are in that situation right now because I got to tell you, people, look, at the end of the day, people are not going to stay scared and afraid forever. And I do think that they'll be a lot easier to stay scared and afraid if you have a $2,000 check and rent moratoriums or whatever money coming in, and then you can loosen it or you can figure out a way to pay the rents or do whatever. Then you can kind of get the gears going again. But you're not going to be able to get it in the way that it's currently set up. So I'm on a roll tonight. I was really upset about that. One other thing that I really wanted to I really wanted to talk about is that my kid is having some issues tonight. Okay, I'm gonna have to break off here in just a second. I just want to finish. I just wanted to finish my podcast here and talking about the breaking news that came out earlier today, which was the breaking news that came out, and the news is that 4 senators, including Dianne Feinstein, were charged with, not charged, that's the wrong term. They were charged with, or not charged, I keep saying charged. They are alleged to have sold off stocks before the coronavirus reports. I'm reading from a Fox News article. Senator Dianne Feinstein of California and 3 of her Senate colleagues reported selling off stocks worth millions of dollars the days before the coronavirus outbreak crashed the market, according to reports. It was Senators Richard Burr, Kelly Loeffler also did it. It's become a big issue. Now, she's defended herself. She said that she has no control over her assets, and the stocks in question were her husband's transactions. During my Senate career, I've held all assets in a blind trust, of which I have no control. Reports that I sold any assets are incorrect, as are reports that I was at January 24th coronavirus, which I was unable to attend. Under Senate rules, I report my husband's financial transactions. I have no input into his decisions. My husband, in January and February, sold shares of a cancer therapy company. This company is unrelated to any work on the coronavirus sale and was unrelated to the situation. Here's the deal. I don't know if she's telling the truth or not, but first of all, the timing of all this that happened, the question is, do I believe that the senator did? My answer is no. I don't believe Dianne Feinstein. I don't believe that answer. Now, here's why I don't believe it. The timing of these millions of stocks was bad.